Hey folks, it's Ray with Taste Radio. Right now I'm honored to be sitting down with Cori Deans, who is the founder and CEO of Small Town Cultures. Cori, great to see you.
Hi, Ray. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
We're here in the studio in Marina del Rey at Nosh Live Winter 2024. I'm so happy you're here. You were already upstairs listening to some of our content, our main stage content. Anything in particular that you saw that was interesting?
You know, it was just nice. We're a mission-based company. We're looking to expand the appeal and the accessibility of probiotic-rich fermented foods. And it was nice. I was listening to Jennifer Gardner speak, and she was just talking about how everything kept coming back to the mission, how her team, every single person was bought in, and when a decision had to be made, it was made based on that. And I feel like that's something we've been, trying to do, and to hear somebody who has taken their brand so far and still has so much more they want to do, and to hear that they're kind of implementing the same concept. It was refreshing. It felt good. I felt seen. Yeah. So far, so good.
Yeah. Jennifer Garner, one of the co-founders of a brand called Once Upon a Farm. We're on stage with the CEO of the company and co-founder, John Foraker. Yep. Before we hopped in the mics, you said you passed by her. Didn't have a chance to hand her a jar, did you? No?
I didn't. No,
okay.
No. Next time I see her in the hallway. Yeah.
I got to think, though, she's probably seen your product at Whole Foods.
I certainly would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to have branding that kind of sticks out and draws your eye to the fermented food set. So I would hope that she has noticed us and hopefully seen us.
That is the number one reason why I was interested in your brand when I first saw it. Just spectacular, beautiful packaging. Your products that come in these 12-ounce glass jars with a white cap. They're clear glass jars. You can see the delicious food that you make. I'm holding in my hand your wild ramp kimchi, which I just want to just get a spoon right now and start eating out of the jar. I assume I have the same kind of story that you hear from a lot of consumers, in that the packaging just drew my eye.
Yeah. And, we just kind of looked at the category and did the opposite. Everything was in squat jars. Everything had this big, large label. Everything had farm branding. Now the categories move more towards plastic bags and plastic tubs. So we really wanted to stand out, and we really wanted to kind of show value visually. You can see the value of the product without me being there telling you about it, right? I'm telling you right now, like, our products are delicious. They have value. You're going to love them. But how do we speak to a customer when I'm not there selling it? So that was kind of the whole thing, was to relay that in a minimal, clean process.
That is one of the best explanations of what great packaging design is all about. I'm communicating the value of what we're selling without me actually being there to tell you that this is really good. You can see the ingredients. You can see, now this is the sliced red onions product that you have, which is this like just gorgeous pink color. And you have the ingredients on the front. It says red onion, water, salt, sumac berry, and white tea. That's it.
Yeah.
And my mouth is watering, and whenever that happens, that's a good sign. But you pick it up and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take a shot on this because it looks good. It probably tastes good. It's going to be good for me. Mm-hmm. And that's all you need to sell for me, that's all you need to sell me on.
Yeah, and some of our other products are we do sliced jalapenos, we do cut carrots. So you can look through the packaging and you can know what to do with it. And that is kind of part of our mission, is to make it just, when you think of accessibility, it doesn't just have to be on the store shelf where you shop. It doesn't just have to be at a price you can afford. You also have to know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So when you look at a sliced jalapeno or red onion, you just top things with it. Like, instinctively what to do with it. So we're kind of trying to lower that barrier to try fermented foods and to get the deliciousness as well as all the probiotic benefits.
Were you always in jars? I mean, we'll back up a little bit and talk about the origins of the brand, but was this always your package design?
Yeah, the package design definitely morphed over the years. We've always been in these 12-ounce tall glass jars. We've always wanted to have this transparent label. We used to have kind of a label that went over the front of the jar, where it was a small label and went up and over the jar with the ingredients on the back. But having the customer be able to see through and get hungry just looking at the product was always very important. So it has morphed. We got our, once we went to the transparent label, our logo we had designed, and we wanted it based on Nike, right? Like, what better logo to base your logo on than Nike? Because it's iconic, right? And you don't have to know anything about Greek mythology or Nike. You just see it and you know it's Nike. Now, like, our logo is a vessel. It's a bowl that has movement. It has life, and it has bubbles coming out of it. It's a bowl with bubbles. But I don't care if you know if it's a bowl with bubbles. You might think it's a whale or Tweety bird or stomach, but you know it's small town cultures. So that was like very important to kind of come up with a logo that was totally different from everybody else and, you know, communicated the modernness of our brand.
There is something Nike-ish. There's something bold-ish. There's definitely something that speaks whale to me. But I hope this doesn't offend you. There's also something, it kind of looks like a gut almost.
Yes. Yeah.
And, you know, was that intentional?
No, it wasn't intentional. It really, I asked for a modern looking bowl with movement and bubbles and to be based on Nike. And then I wanted it so that we could put other colors or textures with it. So we could get rid of, you know, I wanted it to be versatile. So as we continue to evolve as a brand, we can do different things with it. And on my hat, I made it into a yin yang. So, you know, we just want something versatile that we could play with and have fun with.
I like it. I like it a lot. Your interest in fermented foods, I talk about this with entrepreneurs all the time. Yes, you might enjoy eating something. You might enjoy drinking something. Does that mean you have to start a food company or a beverage company? In your case, it meant yes.
Yeah. So if I'll back up a little bit and just kind of tell you kind of my origin story was that I was very sick. I was very sick with Crohn's disease. I had a foot of my intestines taken out. I was on gnarly medication. I was just always
of your intestines taken out?
Yeah, small and large appendix.
Wow.
Yeah, I have the scars to prove it. It's like, so it's just, I was always sick, and doctors, all they want to do, or my doctors, all they wanted to do was get me to remission. They were never looking for actual health, you know, it was always just like, make her not feel as bad.
Something to address the symptoms versus solve the problem.
Exactly. And they told me after the surgery, when I got my intestines taken out, a foot of my intestines taken out, that it could easily come back. It's going to come back right where the scar is on either side. And I was like, oh, great. So I get to look forward to doing this again. And I get to be in fear from now until then that this is going to happen again. And I was just like, there's no way to live. So then I decided to heal myself with probiotic-rich fermented foods. With these, you kind of get like this full colony of probiotics, not just the main ones you might get in a pill, but like full colony probiotics. And it worked. And then, you know, because it worked, I got myself off the surgery cycle. I no longer have Crohn's. I don't take any pills because of that or any medication. Of course, I adopted it into my diet. And it was at that time that I was like, oh, I don't actually like fermented foods at all. I was just eating it for the health benefits.
Wait a minute. Now I have to back up. So you started out not enjoying
No, not
foods.
At all.
Was it because it was just a vinegary thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like, so this is a while ago, right? So at the time.
How many years, just for context?
13.
Okay.
At the time, the market was a lot different. You would get soggy sauerkraut in bags.
Yes.
You would get very traditional kimchi that I now love, but at that time, it didn't speak to my flavor profile, my palate. I was a picky eater.
And I
didn't like it then.
The term fermented wasn't nearly as mainstream as it is today. So that probably was, I think, part of your hardship, we'll call it, in finding something that was palatable.
Yeah. It didn't work with my basic diet. So the term fermented, it always is kind of wild to think about. You're eating a lot of little tiny microbes, like intentionally.
Billions.
Right? Yeah, billions. And you're doing it intentionally. But I mean, we evolved with that. So we just, we've moved past it now. But yeah, it was something to kind of get past. But, that's why I started making mostly single vegetable ferments, because that's what I enjoy eating. Fermented red onions or pickled red onions. Like, that's easy. You can put that on anything. I made them for myself and for my family for a number of years. So I didn't start the business for a while. And I was always waiting for someone else to do it. I was like, why is no one else expanding the product line? Why is it always sauerkraut, kimchi, and pickles? Like, that's not what I feel like eating every day. I want more variety. I want the things that I'm making at my home to be able to buy at the store, because it takes a lot of time to make fermented foods. It takes, and then there's always, am I doing it right? Like, I feel very comfortable with that now, but when you're fermenting at home, there's some trial and error. You're learning. So I was waiting for someone else to do it, and no one did. So I was like, fine, I'll make it. And I had these recipes, and anything I do tend to overdo. So like when I was coming up with the recipes initially for myself, because nobody else was making them, I would like make 4 iterations of something in 4 separate jars, and I would try them all. And I'd be like, okay, I like this one. And then I would make 4 iterations of that. So by the time, years rolled by, I felt pretty good about what I was making, because I had spent so much of my personal time and energy trying to make something that I could feel proud about and that I could share with friends and family and kind of like share the word of, probiotic-rich foods.
What year was it that you said, small town cultures, here's my brand?
Yeah, so 2017, I think we started. It started small, mostly still research, buying packaging, like defining the recipes, trying to get, certifications and things like that. 2018, we kind of entered the market, I think. And it was just, I feel like doors open before, like when I'm like 1 or 2 steps back, they're opening ahead of me. So I'm always kind of going through doors before I think we're ready, but it seems to be okay. So like I made some stuff, some products, I think half of these were the ones I brought over to a local, nice market. And I gave them samples. It's like, hey, would you consider carrying these as, as a local brand, And I was a customer, so they said, sure. Like they were very familiar with me, that they would at least consider it. So they put them back in the fridge. And then I guess randomly, this distributor, a regional distributor, kind of came in, and they were doing a tasting, and she let him taste it. And then he was like, oh, I've been looking for this. Like, so he was saying a product like this. He said he had been looking for a product like this. And they did specialty cheeses, imported meats, things like that. So a boutique brand, regional, did fit in with something he would like. And he said he was looking for something like this, and he would reach out. And he did, and we had a distributor before the store even brought us on. Like, I was like, okay, let's go. We've got a distributor. Let's start selling.
That's outstanding. But you know what? It started with you being proactive and going to a store, a local store, that you knew the owners, or at least you knew the operators there, and saying, hey, can you take a chance on my brand? So it wasn't happenstance. It was more that you created the opportunity by being proactive.
Yeah. And there was, of course, years of work beforehand as well.
Sure.
Like it didn't just materialize. Like I had thought about it a lot. We had done a lot of the work before I even made that first introduction, but it still was a little bit wild. I just remember manufacturing this first much larger order than we were capable. And my parents were there putting on the tamper evidence seals, and my sister was there, and like we all were in it, and we were doing it, and we're getting the product out, and we did it, and we felt so accomplished.
And to be clear, you were not in your home kitchen doing this.
No.
You had a facility. Do you have a shared kitchen, a commercial kitchen at the time?
Yeah, so my sister owned a vegetarian lunch restaurant. It was tiny. It was the best use of space I've ever seen. I would say it's about the size of this set. Okay. And it's like a hallway kind of restaurant. And so
perfect place to open a fermented foods brand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I needed something, and it was free. And I just had I had a baby recently, and she said I could use her kitchen in the off hours, which meant, kind of like 7 at night until 7 in the morning. So, and then all day Monday, because she was closed on Monday. So I had access to a free kitchen that was, free commercial kitchen. I had recipes. I had a distributor. I just had to stay up all night and produce the stuff. And that's what I did probably for the first year, was just work every single Monday and then stay up overnights to get the product out.
At what point did you say we need more space?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously right away, but we actually got asked to leave using this kitchen for free because we weren't really on her lease. And the
landlord asked you. Okay.
The landlord asked us.
It wasn't like your sister's like, get out of here.
No, the landlord was like, hey, we didn't agree to this 24/7 operation thing you have going on, with machinery and stuff, cutting machines. So yeah, we did get asked to leave. And that was when we renovated the first floor of my house and a 2-car garage. The 2-car garage became our warehouse. So half of it was cold storage, and the other half was where we stored our packaging materials. And then the first floor of the house became our commercial kitchen. And we were there for a couple years, probably 2 years.
Why did you feel like you needed to manage and control production? Why not outsource it?
Oh boy, I tried so many times to find a co-manufacturing partner. They either wanted to ferment in plastic or put us in plastic packaging wise. So our standards of production just didn't fit with what they were doing. And there is a bit of a control thing. I want to make sure that the product's fresh. I want to make sure that our ferments are exactly the way we intend them to be. So far, we're still manufacturing in-house. We plan to continue to expand our manufacturing in-house, but it doesn't mean that every year I don't visit looking for a partner to help us manufacture it. And as we move, we're based in the Northeast. As we move and start selling more on the West Coast, shipping from the Northeast to California cold storage does not make a lot of sense. So we will continue to revisit that.
Yeah, and I think more than anything, you want to have faith and trust in the partner that you have. So sometimes that's not something that happens overnight. That takes a lot of time to find the right person, to find the right team, to say you're going to make the same thing that we make and that we've been making since 2018.
Yeah. With fermented foods, one of the things people that haven't already adopted them ask is like, well, what do I do with them? How do I use them? Right? So there's that education. And we are looking to expand the market for fermented foods, and we're looking to kind of push it out and offer fermented foods in more convenient ways so that it's not on the customer to know how to use it. We want to present that to them by partnering with other companies to make it easier. So for instance, like a salad company, like a salad kit company, like how great would it be to be in a salad kit where you're getting your probiotics and then you also, it tastes delicious. So we're looking for different avenues like that.
And all this is because small town cultures is growing really, really fast. And you are expanding into retail. You said you're doubling in sales every single year. But when you started out, did you have a target consumer? Did you do an analysis of the market? Did you understand the category as well as you do today? Well, and that's kind of a leading question. Obviously you didn't, but how much of the category did you feel you understood versus how it has evolved since?
Sure. So I think that I was the target market at the time. We didn't have the data we have today, right? So like data is amazing. Data like
do you buy data?
We have in the past. Mostly now we're using the distributor, retailer, and internal. But it has given us a lot of insight into kind of our customer and where we're going and where we want to pursue. I think I have, if I have one skill, I think I have two skills. I think I know that I'm not very good at most things. But then when I am good at something, I should pursue that. And I think I'm good at seeing white space. So I think I can see where the problems are, where there's not something, and I think I can come up with a decent solution. So I think that when we're looking at target markets, I think it's still, and I think this might be a lot of founders say this, it's still me. I am the target market. I am, middle income. I'm not affluent. I shop at conventional stores as well as natural stores, and I'm a value customer. And that is what we're trying to do, is bring a product that will speak to a broader audience, not just people who already love fermented foods, but people who maybe have heard of them, maybe are interested, fermented food interested or curious, and kind of speak to them and have them try it for the first time. Yeah, it's still me.
There's a lot of nutritional value. There's a lot of health value in these products. Are people willing to pay the price? What's the price point per jar?
Our SRP is $6.99. We sell right now anywhere from $5.99 to just regular price is going to be $5.99 to. There's one of our natural retailers has us at $7.79, I think, $7.89. So we have a little bit of a gap. We are competitive within our space. So we would be competitive within the refrigerated pickle and fermented food space. We're actually kind of a bit lower for our quality than some of our other competitors. I would say, if you're looking at a fermented red onion and comparing it to a pickled red onion that's pasteurized on a store shelf, like we're double that. Yeah, we're not, yeah. So we're not really competing there yet.
Where are you regionally in terms of retail?
Yeah, so right now, regionally, we're mostly in the Northeast. We're with Price Chopper and Tops and Whole Foods in the Northeast.
That's so interesting that you're in Price Chopper.
Oh, that was my goal. That was
Yeah?
always, well, I'm the target market, and
Okay.
Price Chopper is Northern New York conventional, and they have a gorgeous produce section. And you walk in the produce section, and this applies to most conventional retailers. You walk in the produce section, it's beautiful, and you're like, oh, you can start planning your meal for your family there. So it was my target. If you would have talked to me like 2 or 3 years ago, like on my porch, it's just me and you talking, like it would have been like, oh, we're going to be in Price Chopper. So, and now we want to repeat that success.
Did you advocate for the brand to be in produce, or was that
Yes.
something? Okay, so how did that conversation come about?
Yeah, so fermented foods have had many homes. I think when we first started, everybody wanted us in dairy and deli because you make sandwiches with it, I guess, or hot dogs or whatever.
And I think it's also kind of a high volume part of the store. Maybe they're looking to enhance the sort of traction for those types of foods, velocity for some of those foods, but that might be my guess. So
I didn't actually ask. I just always was like, we're going to be merchandised in produce where people make those healthy decisions for their family. I think that dairy and deli, it's cold. It's not. It's behind glass. Produce, well lit, colorful, fresh. Like produce is our jam. Yeah, we love produce.
yeah. So I think sometimes that conversation about where your brand, your product should be merchandised can be a tough one, because your retail buyer at the end of the day, or the merchandising director, is going to say, hey, thanks, but I'm going to put this where I think it's going to sell best.
Yeah.
How do you get them on board? How do you get them to see what you see for the brand?
Yeah, I mean, we will provide our numbers and our sell-through, and we'll, I think, just honest conversations and passion. We do have data. I haven't looked at it in a while between, what we were doing in dairy when we first started compared to what we can do now. I think produce actually really likes us because produce, we have a 1-year sell by date, and our jars are tall and thin. You can squeeze them in a set. And that is something you don't see in produce a lot. You see big, bulky packaging, big bags of lettuce, things like that. And they have to turn those things really quickly. Now we'll turn, but we don't spoil. So
Yeah. Well, I interrupted you when you said Price Chopper. I was just so interested in the fact that you were there. But Price Chopper, Whole Foods, you're mostly in the Northeast. You're also out here in California as well.
Yep.
Are you looking at Middle America as a target for the brand? Are you there already?
yeah, we're in Whole Foods in the Rocky Mountain region and the Southwest. And then we are we're doing natural and independent in the Midwest as well, and the kind of going down into Texas. So we're slowly, strategically kind of working our way west, essentially. Whole Foods, when you go under category review with them, you tell them, almost like what you were saying about merchandising, like where are you going to be merchandised? You tell them where, how your strategy for where you'd like to be and how it works best for you, and then they just pick the SKUs they want and put them where they want. So,
I think but they probably also I know you have to do a certain number of demos at Whole Foods, but I think what they're hoping for is that you're going to do as much support for the brand on shelf as you can. What is your brand support strategy for retail? Because again, this is something where, yes, the beautiful packaging might sell it, but a scoop in someone's mouth will really seal the deal.
Yeah. No, we definitely love demos. We love Whole Foods because they make it easy to do demos and to support your brand. Outside of that, because we are kind of trying to relay the value, we strongly believe that if somebody tries it once, they will continue to buy. So we just needed to get it in their hands that first time. So it could be a demo, but often it's going to be just that sale tag, man, that sexy sale tag with that like $1 off. Like it gets somebody to try it for the first time, and then they're like, oh, actually I like this, like I can see myself eating this. I know exactly what to do with it. So we do a lot of in-store in-store TPRs, and we even do some like dangler coupons and stuff like that. So I think that for us, we've made the decision to just represent the value of the product, and that really is our marketing at the moment. So we're not doing paid influencers, and we're not doing anything. We just are putting trust in that people will continue to like the brand once they try it. So that's what we're doing as an emerging company. I know there's a lot of ways we could be spending money. That's the direction that we see the lift. We see the plateau afterwards, after the lift, and we like what we see. So we're just going to keep doing that. I know that we need to get out there more with education, with partnerships, things of that nature, really bringing, getting this in front of people's eyeballs in other ways. But so far, just getting it in their mouth has been really effective. So that's kind of where our marketing dollars go.
Yeah, going back to how to use the product, I think that's where influencers, paid or otherwise, can be really, really helpful. When do you think that is a part of your marketing strategy that you will engage? Or how has your marketing gotten to a point right now where people are like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I know how to use this better than I did in the past.
Yeah, so I think that so far we do actually get a lot of influencers talking about our brand, showing how to use small town cultures. We get a lot of traffic from that. And I think that goes back to, the people that perhaps are interested in fermented foods are also really interested in their community, and they want to provide value to their community. So we're not paying them. Sometimes we'll give them free product, of course, but I feel like they want to share with their community because, the benefits of fermented foods, how they're actually cooking for their families. So far, we haven't had to pay for it. I know we're going to have to, but so far, so good. And, we've even had Jessica Alba reached out. I got a DM from Jessica Alba one day.
Wow.
That was a really awesome thing to wake up to. You're like, oh.
What did she say?
She said she loved her turmeric kimchi and she wanted to find it in Whole Foods on the West Coast. It is not yet. We're under category review. Whole Foods.
Corey's looking at the cameras right now. I think that would go a long way in your presentation to the category manager, saying, "Hey, Jessica Alba wants us out here," and so
it's our number two bestseller, and so we have gotten a lot of traction, interest. Even it was fun, like I said, listening to Jennifer Gardner speak. We've had celebrities reach out that are interested in becoming part of our brand. We haven't gone in that direction yet. I think I just want to I want to build a really solid base. I want to have a really strong understanding of our product, our direction, our mission. And then I want to blow it up. And then I want to go everywhere and be everywhere. But we have to make sure that we're on solid footing first. And a lot of that goes back to manufacturing. So even, going too big right now with manufacturing ourselves does not seem smart. We have to be strategic with who we partner with.
Do you have an operations manager?
Yes. His name is Alex Morrison. He was our founding employee. So he has been with me since the beginning. And, before we kind of started this chat, we did talk about how I am a solo founder and how that is a little bit challenging and how I really, really wish I had a co-founder, somebody else where we could divide and conquer, somebody else that was in the trenches with me. Aside from having a co-founder, I do have my head of operations who has been there since the beginning.
Well, I think it's so important to have someone who can run that part of your business, especially when they're two distinct businesses. Yes. Manufacturing and sales and marketing. Mm-hmm. And trying to manage both can be very, very challenging. It almost sounds like throughout the course of this conversation, if you really, really could outsource production, it would be a good thing. But I almost feel like that's such a valuable part of who you are and what you do. And I think it's probably of interest to some investors as well, in that you own your own manufacturing. Do you feel like it would be a loss if you completely outsource it, or?
Well, I think we control our quality. We can control the different iterations of our product as we learn from our customers. We can act quickly. I think I really do enjoy the actual act of the manufacturing of it. And we keep saying the word manufacturing, but fermenting is like magic. It is, we get in raw produce that is teeming with microbes on it. They're soil microbes, right? We don't add any starters. We don't add sugar or vinegar. So we just take this raw produce house. We top and tail it. We cut it however we want it. And then we put it in an anaerobic environment where there's no oxygen. And those microbes eat the sugar in the plants and create lactic acid and carbon dioxide and, create the final product. So the actual really cool stuff in the manufacturing process, we don't do. We don't even see it. So we're just like prep cooks for this vegetarian army. And it's a cool process to be part of. And it like feels great to like put some sliced onions into a fermentation vessel, and then you open it up and it looks, bright pink, and, and they're tender and they're tangy. So I don't know. Like I like the act of making things. So maybe part of the other reason that we haven't gone in the direction of co-manufacturing is because like it's enjoyable to do. It's cool. It's tangible. I feel proud.
It's certainly something you can share with consumers too. Mm-hmm. This is our product. We make it. No one else is touching it but us. And I love, you should use that in your marketing, by the way. We're prep cooks for a vegetarian army. I love that. Have you said that before? I love that. Okay.
I say it when I'm hiring people because I think people don't know when they come to work for us, when they come to work for us in the manufacturing portion, nobody comes to us with vegetable fermentation experience. Maybe they come from beer or dairy, or maybe they're like chefs already at a restaurant, but nobody comes with, commercial vegetable fermentation experience. So I always try to like help them get to understand what the job is actually like.
Yeah. I've mentioned investors a couple of times, and I think at the size and scale of your business right now, you would be looking to raise some money. Are you at this point trying to raise a new round?
Yeah. We're looking to raise a seed round, mostly to scale our manufacturing, automate, kind of really bring our cogs down and be able to, I'm out here selling the ferments into retailers. We got to make sure we can make it. We got to make sure we can make it profitably. So like that's the goal right now. So we are in the process of raising. We are angel backed. We work with a really great mission-based angel group called Point Positive. They're dedicated to like helping companies in the North Country of New York expand outside of the North Country. So, I pitched them a couple years ago and they've been very supportive. But we need to now bring on the right partners with the right experience, network, to get us to that next level, right? We need to get to that next level. And I definitely know that I don't know anything. So like bringing on people who have that institutional experience and the right partnerships is so important.
You know a few things. I'd say you know more than a few things. I think going back to your point about I do two things really well, you don't know what you don't know, which is really important as an entrepreneur. But also I think, you know yourself and you know your passion for the brand. And I think that goes a long way. I almost feel like that gets forgotten sometimes by entrepreneurs. It's just like you forgot why you did this in the first place. Your love for the brand, your love for manufacturing per se, your love for fermentation. And throughout this entire conversation, Cori, I can just feel your excitement, your energy. And it feels like it's so much a part of who you are, and it's embedded in the brand, which is so great to see.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly true. I wake up every day probably too early because I like have so much I want to get done. So like it is exciting. I think the most exciting thing for me about entering this space, running a fermentation company, growing a fermentation company, is that I really didn't know anything about it. So every day I'm learning. And that learning process and that sense of accomplishment, because you're constantly learning something new, you're trying something new, and maybe this didn't work right, but you're trying something else. Like that sense of accomplishment and ability to improve my skills as a human is super satisfying. And it is very fun, and it's very rewarding, and it's very stressful.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm not an entrepreneur. I've never mentioned this in the podcast, but I sometimes dream about opening up a food or beverage brand or launching a food or beverage brand. And I think the most rewarding moment, even if my brand didn't actually work out, was seeing someone who actually picked up a product, saw value in it, and bought it, paid money for it. And I think seeing that talk about magic. You know, if you go into a store and see someone buying your product, that's got to be so rewarding.
Yeah. No, it feels really good. I really am proud of what we're making. And, you know, going back to why we manufacture in-house, I think it's, you know, we've always had this idea of like, well, is that something I want to feed my family? And there are certain things I don't feel comfortable with, and I don't even want to talk about them here because, you know, other brands in the space do that. And there's things I don't feel comfortable with that I don't want to go in that direction. So I do want to make sure that we keep our standards high and that we are, you know, that I feel very good every day about the product we put out, about the good it's doing for people. And that's another thing, you know, we didn't touch on, is that we do constantly get emails and, you know, DMs of people saying, hey, this helped me. Hey, you know, or my child loves your fermented carrots. So, you know, we're getting kids to introduce this great food, you know, all these nice probiotics into their system, you know, at a very young age, and they're going to have that taste for it, you know, growing up. So like there always is that kind of constant reward too, where it's very easy to get small, to have your walls feel small and your manufacturing facility feel small, and you're just caught up in the day-to-day of all of the different things you have to accomplish. But when you step back and you're like, man, like this is helping people, and this makes people feel good and they enjoy it. Like, because I always say, like, you can, you know, go to your store and you can buy a jar of sauerkraut, you feel really good about that purchase, and then you don't eat it and you leave it in the back of your fridge, and it does your body no good. So you don't get any benefit from the health food you buy but don't eat. So like our goal is to make food that is really fresh tasting and crunchy and just has this gorgeous flavor profile that has a mild acid. So not a vinegar sharp acid, but this mild acid quality. So you keep coming back for more.
If you haven't, listeners, already seen Small Town Cultures in your local store or tried this product, I highly recommend that you find a way to get the product in your hands and in your mouth, because it is an incredible, well, everything about this brand is incredible. It's certainly one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, Cori, but I just see so much runway for what you're doing, and I'm so excited for the future of your brand. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished to this point, because I know, as you mentioned, it's been stressful, it's been hard, but you're on really solid footing, and I think there's a lot, and especially that you're excited about being in Price Dropper. I love that. I really, really love that.
Oh yeah, and we're launching in ShopRite. So like it's the direction I want to go, and like I said, we just need to keep providing that value to customers so that, you know, we have to be at the right price point. So we're going to continue to try to make sure that we're able to do that, so that, you know, I want people to be able to afford us. I want them to enjoy our product.
I just have a really good feeling about this brand and what you're doing with it. So I really, really appreciate the time. I know I'm taking away from you being upstairs and watching some of our content up there, but it's all being recorded too, so you can watch it afterwards as well. But thank you so much. Thanks for coming out here. Thanks for making the time for me. And thanks for making this amazing brand.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. And, you know, I'm really enjoying the Nosh Live event. I look forward to coming to the summer event. And, you know, what a great experience. You know, the one-on-ones, everything that you guys are doing here, it's so curated. So thank you.
Our marketing team is going to love you for saying that. Once again, Cori, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.